Ready for Revolution. I'm your brother and friend, Brother Eric Trey Muhammad. Welcome to another edition of It's All About the Dream, the lecture series. Folks, every Friday, round about 4 p.m. Eastern United States time zone, we offer some insight to hopefully move you through your weekend and move you into a further state of productivity. It's all about a better you. I want to come to you from a vantage point of awareness today. And that vantage point might be a little lengthier than the 15 or maybe 20 minutes max that we normally give this segment. But I want you to understand something about awareness. I want you to understand that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. See, awareness is the state or quality of being conscious of something involving the perception of internal thoughts, involving feelings, involving even external environmental stimuli, right? But often used interchangeably with consciousness, awareness typically refers to the specific focus or knowledge within the broader field of experience. Okay, now let's take this a little further and understand that when you permit your present results to control your thoughts, your income cannot improve. The majority of us operate out of current results, and those current results are primarily related to our senses, our ability to hear, see, feel, touch, taste, right? But does nothing to invoke the activity of a conscious mind, making that conscious mind aware of subconscious mind rather aware of conscious activity because it's not connected. So I'm hoping this presentation will assist you because there's a law. There's a law known as vacuum law of prosperity. And what that law basically states is that the vacuum law of prosperity is a principle of manifestation and personal growth, stating that you must first release what you no longer want or need to create space for what you do desire. When you have too many things on your plate, you feel overwhelmed and you're getting nowhere. Look at what's on your plate and scrape some of that off, right? Because what you're not using is taking up space. And the thing about the vacuum law of prosperity, nature in itself abhors a vacuum. It hates it. It detests it. Meaning, when you create an empty space, the universe will naturally rush to fill it. And what I want you to fill it with today with this segment is thinking. Thinking. Does the average person think? Well, there's a gentleman that lived some time ago, Mr. George Bernard Shaw, who said 2% of the people think. 3% of people think they think. And 95% of the people would rather die than think. Let that sink in. Now, let's talk about this fabulous thing called the mind. I know when we think mind, we generally think with our two fingers, put them to each side of our temple, and we say the mind is up here. But your whole body is mind, and the emotion for the mind resonates from that area of the heart. Now, we have to train our mind. This is the thought. I was reading some time ago some of the great works of Mr. Napoleon Hill, and I want to share them with you here as it relates to our ability to achieve the wealth that eludes us because we chase money as opposed to chasing our dreams. You do not need more credentials. You do not need more approval. You need more conviction, the kind that cannot be faked, the kind that drips from your voice when you speak your vision aloud, even when your bank account says otherwise, the kind that moves mountains and because you refuse to be moved. Train your mind to become immune to rejection, to failure, to the noise of the world, because the world will test your resolve. It will throw distractions, delays, doubt disguised as logic, but your trained mind, it will not flinch because you've seen the other side. You've seen what's possible when a being fully full power and refuses to settle for a life of quiet desperation. You must kill the version of you that hesitates, that second guesses, that waits for the stars to align. Kill that version. Kill that version, right? You want to kill that version of you that hesitates, that second guess, that waits for the stars to align. Kill that version. Bury it deep and rise with new thoughts, new standards, new rules. The wealthy play by different rules because we operate from a different paradigm. They don't ask, is it possible? They ask, how do I make it inevitable? They don't need guarantees because they are the guarantee. Their mind is trained to expect success, to adapt when necessary, to pivot when needed, but to never retreat. This is how you train your mind to attract unlimited wealth. Now, my mentor for life, Dr. Tyrone Best, taught me that the future belongs to the person who can learn, who can pivot, and who can adapt. Ideas, folks, thoughts are things. I wake up with gratitude and I go to sleep with gratitude. And one of the things that I echo before I go to sleep, I'm thankful for the idea that embraced me. I'm thankful for the idea that embraced me. Thoughts are things. We talked a little bit about awareness. Let's talk about desire. Your desire is rooted in what do you really want? What do you really want? Create the life you really want. It's just that simple. Will into existence that thing that you desire. I want that new house. I want a new house. Well, get it. Well, I don't have the money. Get the house anyway. See, the mind is programmed to will the reality you seek. But we have to properly make use of our mind, engage it as a teammate, engage it as a relationship, engage it as a husband or a wife, engage your mind, take it out on dates, and feed it only that which you desire for yourself and for the mind to bring into existence. Dreams, goals, and ambition are those things that should be running through your conscious to your subconscious mind. Is it money you want, folks? Here's a quote from the Dean of Personal Development, Mr. Earl Nightingale. And one thing he shared with us, and I shared in our $1 Million Weekend seminars, most people think they want more money than they really do, and they settle for a lot less than they could have. Isn't that amazing? See, when you're aware and you look back at some of the things that we've done with our lives personally, we can see how foolish we've been operating, but we've been operating like that because we didn't know different. When you know different, you should do different. I mean, think about that now. Most people think they want more money than they really do, and they settle for a lot less than they could have. Now, how does that happen? It's a limited belief, a system that has been programmed into us from the time we came into the world. Let's look at your mind again and your paradigm. Now, for definition, paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior, and almost all of our behavior is habitual. There's a gentleman that lived some time ago. He was a chiropractor and dealt into the holistic health and healing arts. That's Dr. Thurman Fleet. In 1934, he's quoted as saying, "The mind is an activity, not a thing." No one has ever seen the mind. In order to gain clarity and eliminate confusion, I will create an image we can work with. And for now, nearly 100 years, we've been working, well, 70 really, we've been working with this image. And I have to thank another mentor of mine, Dr. Bob Proctor, who introduced this to us and showed us the power of it, because our mind operates from images. And when we can digest the image successfully, then we have a better grasp of galvanizing the understanding. Let's look at your mind and your paradigm. In this illustration here on the screen from Dr. Fleet, this represents your mind. This is your neck, your connection to the remainder of your body. Okay. Now, we're going to split this mind in half, and the top half represents your conscious mind. The lower half represents your subconscious mind. And then once they are aligned, then the body has the instructions by which to carry out. The body doesn't give you instructions, your mind gives you instructions. But in order for your mind to carry out the will, it has to work in concert with each other. The conscious mind has to feed the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind doesn't have the power, doesn't have the ability, doesn't have the wherewithal to reject anything. It accepts everything it's given. So there's a saying that many of us have been taught. I know the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught me this saying. He said, "Don't allow your mind to be the trash can for everyone's garbage." Now, that's a powerfully pregnant statement, folks. When you take full control of your mind, the body will follow. Let's look at your mind and your paradigm. Now, Bob Proctor said this is the most valuable idea I have ever learned. And he went on to teach it 60 plus years before he transitioned. Now, I mentioned earlier, a paradigm is habitual habit, right? Now, money is an idea. So, what do we do with the habit and the idea? We work in a way where we can eliminate the habitual habit that we did not create. It was created for us. The goal now is to replace it with a new habit, a new lifestyle. Have to make room for what you want. Remember what I said about the vacuum law of prosperity. Get things out of your mind that aren't conducive to what you really want. Okay? Now, how does this paradigm, this habitual thinking, how does it impact our outlook on money? Well, let's go back to what Earl Nightingale said. He said, most people think they want more money than they really do, and they settle for a lot less than what they could have. Well, there are three factors that Mr. Proctor taught us, and one of them, M1, is the lowest level of operation when it comes to money. We never gain it here. M1 represents selling your time for money. That's the job, that's employment, that's a self employment. You have to give of your time to get the money. Now, time is the greatest of your assets. And what you want to do is limit how much of it you give up. And you want to increase the way money works for you. But that's not what happens in the M1 dynamic, time for money. Then you have M2, where you have now graduated into a space where you're allowing money to make money for you. If you have to keep a job, chances are your money's unemployed. So the goal here now is to give your money a job as it's designed, as it's created to do. When you give the abundance a job to create more abundance and limit the time by which you put in it, what happens is the money works for you around the clock, 24 hours, 7 days a week. It never calls in sick. It doesn't look for other employment. It doesn't do any of that. Money goes where it's invited. So you invite money to operate and it stays where it's welcome and it continues to produce. When you graduate from M2, you come into M3. M3 MSI. MSI stands for multiple sources of income. This is how all wealth is built. This is exactly how all wealth is built. So the more multiple sources of income you have over the time, meaning limited time, multiple sources, greater the reward. Now let's look how most people work. 96% of the population is on M1, benefiting somebody else. We become somebody else's asset. We belong to somebody else's passive residual income because we're selling all our time, right, for the pittance or the money we're looking for. But here's the dilemma. Most people think they want more money than they really do, and they settle for a lot less than they could have. This means this is a destined, perpetual hamster wheel of brokenness. Now, when we're blessed with that aha moment where we arrive in phase two of this M2, where we learn how to put money to work for us, then the trading of our time is limited, nearly non existent, and the money continues to make money for you. It will do it 24 hours, 7 days a week, around the clock, with two things in your control, your possession. That's ownership and control. Put your money to work. Now, only 3% of the population is there. 96% of the population is in M1. But you can successfully move from M2 to eventually M3, and that's where 1% of the population controls 96% of the wealth. Golly. MSIs, multiple sources of income over time. Now, over time here, we want to stress that it does not happen overnight. Multiple sources of income are developed as you develop, as we experience, as we grow in our experience, as we evaluate our experiences, as we find those multiple sources of income that have been validated. Now, Here's a poem that I want to share with you. It's from this family known as the Anonymous family. Take a screenshot of it. Every choice has a cost. Not choosing is still choosing. Staying safe costs growth. Taking risks costs comfort. Doing nothing costs more dreams. Life will take something from you no matter what. Your time, energy, courage. You can't escape paying some kind of price, but you get to choose what you are paying for. So the question is, what matters enough to risk for? What's worth your fear, your effort, your heart? You're going to pay either way for the pain of staying the same or the pain of changing it. If you have to pay anyway, pay for something that matters, the one you want. Make your pain worth something. Now, there's something else we learned about this paradigm and how to overcome it. Upside down, inside out. We have to learn how to overcome the paradigm. See, the paradigm, again, is the mind, but it's split in two halves. The first half is the conscious mind, the second half is the subconscious mind, and put together, they have the result. But here's the issue: all that we have in the conscious mind has to be connected to the paradigm to show what we really want. And there's a disconnect that's happening there. Okay. We must create and control the paradigm. Now, old habits have to go. The paradigm will try to keep you stuck and shackled to your current circumstances. In order to make significant change and progress, you have to make a commitment, a committed decision rather, followed by action. And the reward will be living the life you previously only dreamt about or dreamed about. See yourself in this affirmation: I am worthy. I am worthy of success and happiness. Now, three income earning strategies as we draw to a close. We're going to look back again at M1, M2, and M3. Time over money. Selling your time for money, that is not the move. 3% of the people are looking for money or move into money over money, meaning money making money for you. And then M3 is that top level where 96% of the people's wealth is controlled by 1% of the people. You get to multiply your multiple sources of income over time. 1% of the people, 3% on M2, 96% of the people on M3. Multiple sources. This is a strategy that we'll teach that Mr. Bob Proctor taught us some years ago about upside down, inside out. And this facilitates the vehicle for multiple sources of income. They don't all have to be the same size. They don't have to all bring in the same volume. It's like being in an ocean of opportunity. And in the ocean, all these vessels have different cargo sizes. It could be a raft, it could be a sailboat, it could be a rowboat, it could be a dinghy, it could be a life preserver, right? It could be an ocean liner, it could be a yacht, it can be a speedboat, various vessels in this sea of opportunity. You don't want all of them being of the same source, of the same fuel, but you want them all to have the ability, the capability to maximize their cargo, right? Again, folks, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. I want to thank you for the time and attention you afforded me. Prayerfully, you got something from this. And I hope to see everyone on the other side of money. Thank you for attending. It's all about the dream. Take care. Forward.